Okay, young people, I'm going to continue to review some items that you guys already know, hopefully, but they're still important. They show up on all these tests all the time. One of the most important things that you can do is learn how to graph a line. Now, very simply, because I'm going to jump straight into it, you only need 2 points to graph a line. All you need is 2 points. And always plot whichever thing is a point first. If you got 2 points, put them both on a graph and draw a line. Or it says connected dots, but it's really draw a line through the dots. And if you have a point and a slope, what you want to do is plot your point first. Then use the slope to help you find any other points. And so, understanding that the slope is not a point, you cannot put that on the graph first. If we look at example 1 here gives us this point 2, 3 and the slope 1/2. According to the notes, the first thing you need to do, I'm going to zoom this in and hopefully you remember what that is. It was slope is 1/2 and the point is 2/3. 2, 3. So the first thing you do is go to the right, 1, 2, and then you go up, 1, 2, 3, and you put your point there. Remember it said it takes 2 points to graph a line. So that's my first point. My second point does not come from me starting here at the origin and going up 1 and over 2. No, that's using your slope from the origin as a point or something like that. No, your slope is always in cahoots or in conjunction with your point. So it's based on your point. So from this point, not from the origin, from this point I count up 1, 2, up 1 and to the right 2. Probably start this video over. I've made like 3 mistakes already. But oh well. Once you come up with that, then you not connect the dots, but draw a line through. A line doesn't stop at the dots. That's a segment. And put arrows on the end of it. That's a line. I'm going to graph this next line here. It says -4, 1 and the slope -3. The point is -4, 1 and the slope is -3. Again, I'm going to zoom in. So the point is -4, 1. Remember, all points start at the origin. So I go back to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I go up 1. Remember, hopefully, how to plot a point. I haven't reviewed that yet, but man, you in this class, you should know how to plot a point now. Now my slope was -3. I hope you saw that. And whenever you have a slope that's a whole number, we make it a fraction simply by putting it over 1. Just that easy. So I go back down here to this point, not to the origin, and I count down 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 1. Now, you may need to remember, as I draw my line through those 2 points, you may need to remember this little friendly reminder from some previous notes that we talked about. Your numerator or top number tells you to go up or down. Up if it's positive, down if that number is negative. The bottom number tells you to go to the right or to the left. To the right if it's positive, to the left if it's negative. Okay? So that's what I'm using here. That's why I counted down 3. I counted down 3 and to the right 1. Okay, so that's an example of how to graph any line given a slope and a point. Let's try these two. You have the slope is 1/2 and the point is 0,6. So hopefully you remember that the slope is 1/2 and the point is 0,6. Remember, plot your point first. 0,6, the 0 tells me not to go anywhere. The 6, I go up to 6 and put a point there. How many points does it take to graph a line? 2. That's my first point. My slope is 1/2, which tells me where to find my next point. So I go up 1 and to the right 2 since they're both positive. And by the way, if you really want a good looking line, you do more than 1 point. So I can go up again, up 1 to the right, 1, 2. What's a negative divided by a negative? Positive. That's right, it is a positive. So if I do negative 1, I'll show it to you in a second. If I do -1 over -2, doesn't that equal positive 1/2? So what if I start here and I go down 1 and to the left 2? You notice how it's a different point, but I'm on the same line? See, math works, man. If you do it right, it works anyway. So I draw my line through those points. And remember, you only need 2 points, but I just want to show you that if you can keep going with the slope, you get a more perfect line. The next point is the slope is -4 and the point is 0, -2. Remember, whenever we have a whole number slope, we put it over 1. But the first thing we do is put that on the graph. So I'm going to put 0, -2 on the graph. 0, -2 is this point right here. And my slope is -4, 1. So starting from here, I count down 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. Notice how I'm counting. I'm not saying 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm picking up my pencil, and where I land is 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 1. Remember, we talked about this a while back. Negative slopes go down from left to right. Positive slopes go up from left to right. So that's how you would graph those 2 lines right there. Now remember, if I'm going too fast, you have the ability to pause, stop, rewind, and all that good stuff. Now what you'll notice is both of these lines are kind of orientated around the y-axis. You know why? Because each one of these points are what's called a y-intercept. How do I know a y-intercept? Whenever your x in your point is 0. Notice that each one of these have a 0 for the x. That's very important. Why is it important, Mr. Freeman? Thank you for asking. Well, this equation right here, which is a very important equation, is one that is very easy to graph from. Why? Because this is your slope and this is your y-intercept, except it's not written in a point like 0, comma something. It's not written like that. We just need to know that that last number is your y-intercept. Now, it's only like that if your equation is solved for y. Okay? If you have y and x and it's solved for y, then you know you have slope-intercept form. Now, we're going to take some time to graph these 3 equations right here. Okay? Now, this is just some stuff to remember. Y and x stay in an equation and m and b are numbers. So that means you shouldn't see m and b in the real equation. Remember, it takes 2 points to graph a line. Graph the line by plotting b first, which is your point, and I'll show you that, and use the slope to find the second point. Okay, so I'm going to get out my graph paper. Be nice if you had some. And we're going to graph. The first equation we're going to graph is y equals 3/4 x minus 4. So we're going to graph this equation number 1 right here. Y equals 3/4 x minus 4. So you won't see this equation, so you might want to write it down on the side or something. Minus 4, let me go back here. Minus 4 is my y-intercept. That's my b. And 3/4 is my m. I know that because it looks just like this. It's in that form. So if I really wanted to, I can write the point 0, -4 if I wanted to. And then I have the slope. So it's just like those problems we just graphed. Remember, if it's the y-intercept, I automatically know that the x is 0. I automatically know. The only time you're going to get a point on this line is if your x number is 0. Keep that in mind. So 0, -4 is 1, 2, 3, 4. That point right there. My slope is positive 3/4, so that's up 1, 2, 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my second point. It only takes 2 to graph a line, and so I draw a line through those 2 points, and this is the equation y equals 3/4 x minus 4. I hope that don't get in the way of something else I do, but it probably will. Okay, show you another one if you didn't get that one. The second one I'm going to graph in that form is y equals -x plus 3, where 3 is my y-intercept. And again, if I want to write it as a point, this may help some of y'all. You might just want to do that. It's never 3, 0. It's always x is 0 and the y is the number there if we're talking about a y-intercept. Now my slope is this negative sign here. No, I'm just kidding. My slope is -1. Remember, there's always a 1 there. And we put that over 1 if it's a whole number. So I have all the information I need. So I'm going to graph 0, 3. So starting at the origin, you always start with your point first. 0, 1, 2, 3. 0 told me not to go anywhere, so that's why I counted straight up to 3. Remember, y-intercept is always on this line. My slope is down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. I only needed two, but I went ahead and made 3. So just in case you haven't figured it out yet, guys, what I'm doing is going to find the y-intercept and putting it on the y-axis first. And then using the slope to help me find the other points. Now, look at number 3. What's different about number 3? That's right, it's not in the right form. Thank you for answering. So the first thing I need to do is solve for y. Why do I want to do that? Because each one of these other two have already been solved for y. That puts it in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to take this equation here, and if the x and y are on the same side, you automatically know what to do. Remember, we talked about this previously. I wanted to put it in slope-intercept form, so I put the x first. Divide everything by the coefficient here. Y equals negative 3/4 x minus 3. And so I'm going to take this and I'm going to graph it. I didn't circle it or box it because that's not my answer. The answer is the graph. So that's my y-intercept, and that's 0, negative 3 if I want to make it a point. And this is my slope here. Okay? So I'm going to graph 0, negative 3. So that's here, 0, 1, 2, 3. Remember, the first 0 here tells me not to go anywhere. Takes 2 points to graph a line, so the other point comes from the slope, which is negative 3/4. That's down 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my second point, and so all I have to do is draw a line through both of those. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how you graph a line. It's easy to graph a line in slope-intercept form. There's other ways to graph lines. We'll talk about x and y intercepts one of these days, and x and y intercepts is just simply 2 points. An x-intercept is on the x-axis, a y-intercept is on the y-axis. Very simple. And we'll talk about that later, but how to graph in slope-intercept form? Right here. All right.